Well, I mean, you worked against the Russians in Berlin. For all the old guys that were Army officers or in the military, or even people that are, 40, 50, who remember when we were taught this was tyranny, the American people, even when I was a kid, were taught this was tyranny, and I'm only 35. I mean, this is tyranny. One of these things alone would be tyranny, as a London Guardian reporter said earlier, but there's hundreds of them. I mean, they are going down every checkoff list of hardcore tyranny and double checking. I mean, they are just pulling out all the stops here because they know the people are going to resist this banker takeover, and so they've been building up forever against us. It doesn't look like it's confirmed, Bob. They're going for broke. This is going to get hot. They're going all the way. They're not stopping.
I think, Alex, you're right. And incidentally, I'd like to interject that George Soros was convicted of market rigging in France and appealed to the highest court and lost. So he's a convicted felon who paid a fine. And then he was just recently nabbed in Hungary for the same thing, and he had to pay a large fine there. So the guy is a crook. So all of you people who didn't know, George Soros is a crook.
But why is he so arrogant? I mean, he's a smart criminal who funds the big liberal websites that attack me every day now. And he literally funded Obama. But why would he tell a press conference? I mean, it was literally in scores of papers a month ago, as you know, Bob. I'm having the best time of my life. This is the culmination of my life. I've basically engineered this, which is him bragging. He's only one part of a gaggle, that did that. Why would the little bastard brag that he's causing all this pain? I guess it's just...
Well, he's bragging for his whole group because he's an integral part of it. And as you know, he got his start by deceiving Jewish people in the country in which he was born while working for the Gestapo so that they could confiscate the goods of Jews, he being Jewish himself. Did you know that?
I knew that he was Jewish and that he was connected to some of the thuggery, yes. It's kind of like Madoff.
He's a bad, bad person. But anyway, the arrogance
Well, no, hold on. Tell us more about
that
because, hold on. I vaguely knew about that, but refresh me fully about him. And I knew Madeleine Albright's dad was a commissariat who killed over 1 million. That's mainline information, and all the stolen arts in her house of people they robbed, including Jews, but also other people. I know that most people... Jean Shalikashvili's dad was the top Nazi in Poland helping do. I mean, I know same thing with, all of these people. Same thing with Zbigniew Brzezinski. But you're saying that that Soros, tell us about that.
Well, Soros, very simply, was probably 12, 14 years old at the time, and the Germans had invaded, and the Germans were rounding up Jews to send them to internment camps and slave labor camps and extermination camps or whatever. And his job, because he was taken on with the Gestapo, I assume he told them that he wasn't Jewish. And
stay there. Let's hear about it when we get back. Got a break, Bob.
Led into unconsciousness, I'd like to have another kiss.
Yeah, most of the alpha maggots that work for the New World Order worked for the Soviets or the Nazis, and then their children are then the people running things now. But I knew that Soros had some bad things going on in his background. Go ahead and finish up with that story, Bob Chapman.
Very despicable, because what he did was go to Jewish families and tell them, look, I'm Jewish, and I'll help you hide your stuff and get you out of the country and that sort of thing. And he found out where their wealth was, and the next day they marched in with the Gestapo and took their wealth and then put them on a train and sent them someplace. And so this is the worst of the worst. It's just like Madoff and what he did to all the Jewish charities and et cetera, et cetera. I mean, it doesn't get any worse than that as a human being. And I just want to let people know this arrogant, connected member of the Illuminati, where he's coming from. And it's not a very illustrious history, that's for sure.
Yeah, I had seen that, but I'm glad you gave us more details. Well, you know about Albright. Her dad is on record killing 1 million and then stealing everybody's stuff. I mean, these people are sick. And then she was on 60 Minutes with all these $1 million famous paintings behind her, stolen from famous families. by the Soviets, they really want to do that here. I mean, look at how all the Trotskyites came over here and founded the neocon movement. I mean, it's so weird that every founding neocon was a Trotskyite who then decided they'd take over the conservative movement, and they've done it. Then you've got the left over here. They're all controlled by a bunch of criminals, Bob.
That's right. And it's always been that way, and that's what this whole bag is all about. This is a white-collar criminal element, if you may, and some of them before were not white-collar, but they are now. And that again, is their arrogance. They can get away with anything. I mean, like, look as an example. Yesterday, Carlyle Corporation was fined, I'll guess, at $20 million. It's in this issue coming out tomorrow. And what they were doing in order to get funds from the state of New York to invest for the state of New York, they were paying people off. And they were doing it through intermediaries, hoping that if something happened and they get caught, the intermediaries would be blamed. And of course, they said they didn't know what they were doing. And of course,
well, Bob,
they did.
I had a state senator on here.
The bottom line is this. There's two sets of jurisprudence in America. The guys at the top never get put in jail, or hardly ever, and they pay a fine, and they go back and do it the next day. The average American goes and does that. He's doing 5 to 10.
Absolutely, but the point I was going to interrupt was it's confirmed there's federal bounties, and they have to increase them each year to even get their quota to kidnap kids, and that they're told how to lie. Just like recruiters are told to tell kids, sign the paper or you'll be arrested, and then they get promoted when they get caught. And she was giving documented cases where they don't just have bounties on kids, but where the adoption agencies that may be getting $400,000 for the blonde-haired, blue-eyed kid, they say, we need this many this week, go out and get them, and they go out and comb and get them, and it may be pedophiles who want, they say, I want a 7-year-old, blonde-haired, blue-eyed, or I want a dark-haired girl, or I want a black girl, and they literally have been caught. She's got the documents where they go out and grab your kid, and they're getting payoffs and legal money. I mean, pretty soon, will it take bureaucrats eating our children on the front lawn, barbecuing them, and then if you don't like it, the SWAT team comes? I mean, how evil does this government have to get, Bob? How illegitimate?
Well, I think a lot of Americans realize this, and I got a report last week from several different gun shows, people standing 15 deep, waiting to buy a minimum. They wouldn't sell small lots of 1,000 rounds or more of ammunition at any given time. And they, at this one particular show, I got details on, they brought in 2 of these great big large trailers full of all kinds of cased ammunition. And in 3 or 4 hours, it was all gone. So I think the American public's catching on. They know something's going to happen, and they're trying to prepare for it because they know that their system hasn't been working for them.
I agree, Bob, and I think the dirty bankers are used to rolling over Cuba and Cambodia and Russia and China. I think they've miscalculated, and I think America is going to find its old vicious instincts, and it's going to be a hell pit. It's going to be an absolute wall-to-wall bloodbath unless the New World Order backs off now.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. We are not taking any prisoners, and if they think they're going to hide, they're not. We'll find them. Well,
that's the issue. When this war is all, said and done, I want to make sure all the bankers are arrested. And I mean the elite bankers, not your corner grocer, the delivery boy. Bob Chapman, stay with us. Financial news straight ahead.